Good evening, everyone, and welcome to tonight's live stream. My name is Joseph Pisani here at Extreme Weather Videos. Great to have everyone here on the live stream with us. We're gonna have quite an extended live stream this evening. So if you're just joining us, first things first, welcome to our YouTube channel. Thank you so much for joining us as we discuss. Really going to be Tropical Storm Milton is going to be our focus this evening. The latest tropical storm to now form in the Gulf of Mexico, expected to become a hurricane over the weekend and be making impacts across portions of the west coast of Florida by mid next week. So we're going to dive into a lot of different things this evening. We're going to take a look at all the different models, the latest information from the National Hurricane Center. Be sure, though, before we dive in, to go ahead and hit that like button for me. Subscribe to the channel as well so you'll get notified for future live streams, different things like that. And then also click that share button to kind of helps push this video out, lets others know that we are live here on YouTube. So go ahead and like, share, and subscribe for us, and we'll kind of dive into everything that we have to go over this evening. So really, it's kind of interesting. I'm just going to start with this. It's pretty interesting how we were kind of seeing an area of disturbed weather over the Gulf of Mexico that kind of came in from the northwestern and central Caribbean, which moved up and then kind of is now just a broad low, which is currently bringing some showers and thunderstorms to portions of Florida. And then we actually, what we have that became Milton is actually a tropical depression that was over on the western side of Mexico that moved across Mexico and emerged into the southwestern Gulf of Mexico and has now become Tropical Storm Milton. So let's go ahead and take a look here, and we can kind of see what we're looking at here from the National Hurricanes. Check, check. Thank you there, Deutschmickey, for letting me know. We will be getting another update here. We'll be getting another update here of Tropical Storm Milton this evening at 11 p.m. and also at, I believe, 8 p.m. as well. So this is currently Tropical Storm Kirk that we're seeing here. And it has winds of 40 miles per hour. It is not really moving a whole lot right now. It's only moving at about 3 miles per hour, kind of off to the northeast. And this is what we're seeing here. And let me come to... Let's come to our slide so you can kind of see this full screen here. So you can see here, we have, this is the current forecast cone of uncertainty, and this has been really increasing the last 24 hours. They were initially expecting a Category 2 hurricane, high-end Category 2 at landfall, but that has since increased now up to a Category 3 hurricane. And I want to see if I can kind of talk through this here with you. Let me come back here. Okay. Okay, so here we go. So as you can see here, this is the forecast cone. So we have, currently you can see here is where Milton is located at. Tropical storm expected to continue to be a tropical storm, and then it'll become a hurricane here by early this week. And then Tuesday into Wednesday, it's going to really kind of pick up speed here. And we're expecting a landfall somewhere here along the Florida West Coast Wednesday afternoon. We'll have to see how quickly this kind of really just kind of blasts off to the east. Once there's going to be a cold front that's going to be kind of sweeping down from the north, that's going to kind of kick Milton off and move it off to the east. Now, the reason we don't see it going north, which is good news for our friends up in the Carolinas and those regions that just got hit by Helene, is we have a large area of high pressure that is up here over our area here in Georgia that is kind of keeping Milton basically moving on a more west to east track trajectory across the region. So it's going to be really interesting to see kind of once that cold front kind of comes down here, how fast it kind of kicks Milton off to the east, because that's going to definitely have to do with impacts across portions of Florida as far as how long of a duration of the rainfall, the storm surge, the winds as it moves across Florida here. So definitely something we're going to have to keep our eye on there as well. Now let's take a look here at our next image here. So this here is basically showing the trajectory. This is one of our forecast models that we're kind of seeing that show it basically moving across the Gulf of Mexico, intensifying, picking up that speed, and then basically this actually brings it a little bit further north, making landfall on the north side of Tampa, which would actually be a terrible situation for the Tampa Bay region, because that would basically bring all that storm surge right there into the Tampa Bay region there as well. So that's one model. And then this is another model here, again, showing a landfall north. And we are seeing these models we're actually getting some new data coming in here right now. The 18Z model runs are starting to come out as well. So we're kind of seeing that take place as well. And then this is yet another model kind of slowed down a little bit. Well, that I had done it faster frame per second, but really we're seeing what the point is here. We're seeing pretty consistency in our model trends for this region. So let's kind of come back here and we'll kind of dive into All right, good evening. We should be back here. There we go. All right. So sorry about that. We're having some stream issues there, but I believe we are back on the air. So let me give everyone just a second here, and we'll kind of get back into what we were talking about. Go ahead and drop a message in the chat for me if you are back online here with us. Hit that subscribe button as well if you're just joining the live stream, so you can join us in the live chat. We should be good to go here now that we got the bandwidth issue updated. So good evening, everyone, once again. Thank you for joining us this evening. We're talking about Tropical Storm Milton here, and we're kind of taking a look at some of the different models. So this here is the European model that we're going to be looking at, and I'll just kind of step us through so you can see it's here in the southwestern Gulf of Mexico. And kind of doesn't really do a whole lot really this first day. Obviously right now it's only moving at about 3 miles per hour. And again, that forward speed is expected to pick up as we go forward in time. So 1,007 millibars right there. And then we'll start seeing the strengthening tomorrow. This is tomorrow morning. By about 6 a.m. gets down to 1,005, 1,004. And again, we're having new data coming in on this. And then we start seeing this here is the Yucatan Peninsula. So staying off of the Yucatan Peninsula. And then here we kind of see it really start to develop by late tomorrow night into Monday morning is where we're going to really start seeing it intensifying. And as it does so, we're down to 996. Pressure continuing to drop, getting more organized. This is Monday afternoon. And kind of passing here again on the north side of the Yucatan Peninsula here. And by this point, pressure is down to 991. And then we really see it. This is Monday night into Tuesday morning. So it really doesn't make a whole lot of progress tomorrow and Monday. It kind of just gets north of the Yucatan Peninsula by end of day Monday. And then Tuesday is really where we're going to start to see it pick up speed, pick up that intensity, and move off quickly to the east-northeast. So this is Tuesday morning at about 8 a.m. on Tuesday. Well-defined hurricane here, pressure down to 981 by Tuesday morning on the Euro. And then it continues to intensify. So here is Yucatan. Here is Western Cuba. And then here on the far right side of the screen over here, this is kind of where my mouse cursor is at. This is Tampa Bay right here. So this is Tuesday morning, still offshore. And then it quickly approaches, continues strengthening, pressure down to 976 by Tuesday afternoon. And then here, as we get into Tuesday evening, really starts to explode in intensity, starting to see that really tight gradient of a storm. And again, this is, going to be a larger storm as well. Probably not quite as large as what we saw with Helene, but still a pretty large storm as far as significant Florida impacts. This is by approaching almost midnight on Tuesday. And then Wednesday here, it's going to kind of come in. This is Wednesday morning at about 6 a.m. And then this is Wednesday at noon, pretty much just right offshore. So conditions really going to be going downhill by Wednesday. I mean, let me step back here just a few frames because notice when the impacts kind of begin. We're already seeing rain here by Tuesday. So it's really going to start raining there in portions of Tampa and really all of the west coast of Florida by Tuesday. You're going to start seeing some of those outer bands and those gusty winds on Tuesday. So any hurricane preparations, all those hurricane preparations really need to be done by by Monday. Your hurricane preparations that are on the west coast of Florida definitely need to be completed by Monday, because once we get into Tuesday, that's when we're going to start seeing those conditions rapidly declining there across portions of the west coast. So let's kind of step back here to this. So again, this is the euro. So the euro's bringing it in here. Again, coming in onshore here. Bringing it in here at, this is 968 millibars on Wednesday. And then kind of coming into just again the north side of Tampa Bay, which that would be just a disastrous situation for that area, because if it goes just north of Tampa Bay, all those onshore winds on the south side and on the east side, really here on the east side of the storm, is going to be pushing all that water from Tampa Bay right up into downtown Tampa and those areas. So I mean, really, the euro here is painting a terrible picture. And you can see here that it just basically is going to go right up that I-4 corridor, crossing the state, still a hurricane, all the way across the peninsula and coming out just around the Cape Canaveral area is kind of where it comes offshore on Thursday, late Wednesday into early Thursday morning. So that is the European model. Let's take a look here at the GFS model. Kind of take a look. Let's kind of go back. So here's the GFS, and the GFS is one of those models that is coming in with a bit of a stronger hurricane than the European. We can really see, I mean, it's getting all the way down here to 959 by that point, 953. 955. And the GFS also note that the GFS, at least as of the 18Z run here, is taking it further north, closer to, let's take a look here. I'm trying to think what that area is. Kind of up near Crystal River, I want to say. Let's come down to Florida. Yeah, so this would kind of be really, yeah, the Crystal River area is where the GFS is basically taking this. So again, really anywhere from really Keaton Beach all the way down the whole west coast of Florida needs to be prepared, because again, it's too early to say exactly where this is going to make landfall, but it's kind of a mute point in a sense as to exactly where. Yes, the winds will be the worst there, but the storm surge, if it goes further north, the storm surge will be obviously more widespread than if it were to go further south. We'd have less storm surge impacts along the northern west coast of Florida, because you would have offshore flow at that point. It would be mostly offshore flow. Also, you have to keep in mind the angle that this is coming in. If it's a more due west-east angle, or like most of the models are painting, where this is a more west, southwest to east, northeast, or I mean, even the GFS, I feel like, is really taking it almost more, not due northeast, but it definitely bringing it further north on the GFS here, again, closer to the Crystal River, Florida area is what we're seeing there. Also bringing it in, obviously, as a stronger high-end Category 3 storm there. So definitely interesting to see what we've got going on. sorry. The new HAFSA model here, comparing the 12Z run from earlier, this is the 12Z run here, okay? It has it at 949 millibars on the 12Z run. And this is absolutely phenomenal. The difference between the 12Z run and this new data that's coming out, bringing this in as a much stronger hurricane. We are now up to, on the 18Z, same time, 21Z on Tuesday, 910 millibars by Tuesday. And the rest of this is still kind of coming out. So let's kind of step this back here kind of to where we're at. So this is the HAFSA model. So obviously still a tropical storm, intensifies into a hurricane, 979 by Sunday evening, and then just continues to rapidly intensify here across the central and eastern Gulf of Mexico. Here's Cuba kind of down there. Wow. 912 and then 910 by that point. We're definitely going to have to check back in on this here as more data continues to come in on the HAFS model. I want to see the B model because obviously we have A and we have B. B is basically about the same thing here. 21Z Tuesday, 913 millibar, major Hurricane Milton. Unbelievable. And then it actually weakens it slightly up to 917 by 00Z. Then kind of fluctuates. That's probably an eyewall replacement cycle that we're seeing there. So this is Wednesday morning, really about midnight, 1 a.m. right here. 915 millibars. And then here is Tampa Bay over here. This is about 6 a.m. And still 919 millibars as it is on approach to the west coast of Florida. This is the HAFS B model that we're looking at for Milton. Astounding difference. Check this out. Let's look at the trend because you got to follow these trends. These are important to follow. So we're going to go back to the 6Z model. You can see this at the same time. This is 12Z Wednesday, 972. All right. Later in the day, 934. So trending stronger. And then now the 18Z model that's just now coming out all the way down to 919. Folks, this is not a good sign. This is not what we're wanting to see here with these model trends. Not only going stronger, but I mean much stronger. And speaking of that, take a look. Let me open a new tab here. And I want to show you. Let's come to current storms here. Yes, Kirk is out there, but we're really focused here on Milton. This is exactly what we're talking about. Look at this image here. So, and again, this is the 18Z model run. Again, we're seeing multiple of these models now bringing this up to potentially a Category 4 hurricane making landfall along the west coast of Florida. So, I mean, absolutely really disastrous situation that would be for really all of the west coast of Florida. Yes, Tampa Bay, but not just Tampa Bay. I mean, we're talking all the way down to, Sarasota, Fort Myers, really even all the way down to Naples. And not just the west coast, but also the east coast, because this is going to end up crossing over the state of Florida. And if it were a Category 4, with the speed that it's moving, it would likely, again, just like we saw with Helene, likely maintain that intensity all the way across much of the inland portions of Florida, would experience those sustained higher winds as well. So this is definitely something we are going to have to keep a really close eye on, because the trend, like we meteorologists like to say, the trend is your friend. And unfortunately, this trend that we're seeing here with these model runs that are coming in, this is still the 12Z, so this is a little bit old. They'll probably be getting some new data here. on these spaghetti plots. But with what we're seeing here, with the model runs here, I can definitely see why when that 18Z data started coming out, National Hurricane Center's like, okay, this is likely going to be a major hurricane coming in at some point in time on the day on Wednesday. So this is 1 p.m. I wouldn't be surprised, really seeing how quickly, look at the spread between 1 p.m. Tuesday to 1 p.m. on Wednesday. So just in that 24-hour period, how quickly it starts moving. And then by Thursday, it's well off the East Coast. So, I mean, this whole thing's just going to cruise really right across the Florida Peninsula. And not only will that happen, but we could still be seeing a significant storm here, bringing a lot of rip currents and potentially even storm surge across portions of the East Coast as well. So not only are we talking about West Coast of Florida, but this is going to have significant impacts across East Coast Florida. So places like, obviously depends on the exact track, but places like Jacksonville down to Cocoa Beach, even Daytona Beach, could be dealing with significant storm surge as Milton is going to be crossing over the state of Florida. Even up into portions of coastal Georgia could see that storm surge. And speaking of, let's kind of take a look at the storm surge forecast here for Milton. Let's get here, which they don't have the storm surge forecast up yet. So that'll probably be coming out tomorrow. But really, the National Hurricane Center hasn't posted a storm surge outlook yet, but I would imagine here probably by tonight, later tonight, or definitely tomorrow, we'll start seeing those storm surge forecasts coming out for the west coast of Florida. But we already saw a significant storm surge with Helene there across much of the west coast of Florida. I mean, record-breaking storm surge. I mean, even Safety Harbor Pier in Clearwater and those areas just completely got destroyed already. And that was, just a week ago. And now here we are a week later talking about another major hurricane potentially making impact again across the west coast of Florida, this time maybe a little bit further south. So Noah Knight asks, what about Tampa? I've got family in Tampa. Excellent question there, Noah. So Tampa right now, as we were looking at earlier, is definitely looking like a bad situation for Tampa. We're talking a likely major hurricane Wednesday afternoon just off to the west of Tampa, which will, again, put Tampa on that eastern side of here of this eye wall coming ashore, bringing those southerly or southwesterly winds, pushing all that water right up into Tampa. And let's take a look here at Google Maps so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm talking about. So you can see here, this is Tampa Bay, and this is Old Tampa Bay. There's Route 60 that kind of comes over to Clearwater, where I went to college at. And so if the storm is sitting here off to the west of Tampa, and you have really counterclockwise flow going around, that's going to be basically pushing all this water here right up into the downtown Tampa Bay region here, up into Hillsborough Bay, and these areas also would be pushing water up some of these rivers here as well. So, I mean, this could be an absolute disaster situation for Hillsborough Bay area as well as Tampa Bay, because that's a lot of water to come in. Now, obviously, we've got, these barrier islands also as well that you have to think about, Longboat Key and some of these beaches down here. Fort DeSoto Park, I actually have gone camping there before. That place could get absolutely decimated, unfortunately. If this is a category 3 or higher storm, which again, we were just talking about these model trends, really going from the 6Z, a hurricane west of Tampa, to the 12Z, a much stronger hurricane kind of northwest of Tampa. And again, if you look at these pressure lines, these are kind of like, you think about the wind field flowing around, you're going to have that. This is a terrible angle of where the hurricane could be as it kind of passes. It doesn't even have to directly hit the eye, technically. It doesn't have to directly hit Tampa for it to have devastating impacts there on Tampa. And then this is the latest model here, the 18Z model. Ooh, we actually have a few more frames here. Let's go forward, see what the 18Z model. So the other thing I am going to say that I'm noticing here with this system is it does, at least on this 18Z model run, I am seeing a further northward trend in where this could make landfall, which is it's really terrible for Tampa still. Maybe not, the winds may not be as bad in Tampa if obviously it goes further north. The storm surge would still be absolutely terrible, but we'd also be terrible again for that Big Bend region. Much more significant impacts for especially portions of the southern Big Bend region, really from Crystal River, or really here just north of Tampa, Spring Hill, Crystal River, all the way up to Cedar Key and Steinhatchee. Maybe not quite getting up to the Keaton Beach area, but Steinhatchee at south. Looking at this new model that's coming in, again, here's the center, basically bringing it, now it's just off, there's Cedar Key right there. That would be basically just west southwest of Cedar Key. So this is, again, we still have a few days that we're gonna have to watch this, especially tomorrow into Monday, before we're really able to kind of nail down where on the west coast of Florida. But again, anyone that is living on the west coast of Florida, really, I mean, even, over here toward Apalachicola, I mean, you're going to get impacts. It may not be as significant wind impacts or rain impacts, but you're still really going to get impacts here all the way from the Big Bend region south. Now, if it goes further north, like we're seeing here, our impacts for especially southern Florida would be much less if it does trend further north. And for places like the Orlando region, the impacts would be less because that wind field would be further north as well. So, yeah, no, I see that you're saying their house is right by a river. So, yeah, if they're in the Tampa Bay area here, let me zoom in on this map again. Again, this is Google Maps here that we're looking at. So we can see we've got really these couple rivers and streams that kind of run through Tampa. So this water here that kind of comes here, and that's McKay Bay, and you have Hillsborough Bay here, would likely kind of backflow up into these rivers here, up through Temple Crest, Temple Terrace, this whole area here. That's just really nerve-wracking, actually, thinking about that. So I wouldn't be as worried about this river, but this one over here, it seems it all does connect, really. So there's going to be water rise along all of that. And you also have to think about not just that, but you also have some of these smaller lakes as well. The Hillsborough River there, that would be impacted. Also, this lake here, Lake Tarpon, and so places like East Lake, that's kind of near, not far from where I was in college here in Clearwater. So, traveling to Florida, probably Monday and Tuesday would be okay. If it's, well, really Monday will probably still be okay there in Florida. Tuesday is where we'll start seeing impacts across Florida with some of those outer rain bands starting to come in. Let me kind of step this back here a little bit. And let's go, okay. Let me come back to, I want to look at just a wider view here of the euro, okay? So this is 12Z. So this is 12Z euro. Yeah, so the 12Z euro here, again, bringing it right here, pretty much right just on the south side of Clearwater, closer to Largo and that area. And you can see here, this is Tuesday night, so already all those rain bands coming into Florida. I want to look at pivotal weather real quick. Folks, if you're just joining the live stream, welcome this evening. Thanks for joining. Be sure to hit that subscribe button for me so you can hop in the live chat. Let us know where you're watching from. Feel free to ask your questions. Great having you guys on here this evening. We'll be here just really diving into Tropical Storm Milton, talking about impacts for really the southeast U.S., especially Florida. But we're also going to be seeing impacts not only for Florida, but also for portions of the east coast of Florida, even potentially into portions of the, let me get Gulf of Mexico here, even into portions potentially of east coast of Georgia, and even coastal South Carolina could be seeing impacts from this as well. All right, so here we are. This is the GFS model. I want to take a look at our precipitation here. So let's come to our reflectivity. Let's go with our loop. Let's make sure we are on. Yes, this is 18Z. So kind of like I was talking about earlier, is we're going to be seeing this rainfall across Florida well ahead of landfall there of Milton. So we've already seen some rainfall out there already. So we kind of have this plume of moisture. That was that broad low that we've been all watching. That's going to be really moving across some of these areas tomorrow, overnight tonight through tomorrow. So pretty stormy day for central Florida, really much of the Florida Peninsula tomorrow, with a lot of this rain that's going to be moving through there. And then here comes Milton, you can see here. And just, you know, basically, again, this is what I'm saying by Tuesday. These are the outer rain bands. This area here that you're seeing, these are those outer rain bands of Milton already coming ashore on Florida on Tuesday. So, and then it comes in and moves across. So, and again, a lot of rain also for, you know, portions of the central Florida panhandle eastward, southern and southeastern Georgia expected to get a lot of rain from this as it moves across the state of Florida. So speaking of rainfall, here is the rainfall current thinking of the rainfall potential for much of Florida. So as we can see here, we're looking at a wide area of 4 to 6 inches of rain, really from Jacksonville all the way down to Miami. Someplace could see more. Kind of here near the Tampa Bay, kind of northwest of Tampa Bay, we're even seeing some 8 to 12 inch values popping up here. Also 8 to 12 inches there on the east coast of Florida that you see as well. So Lake Okeechobee, maybe a little bit less. It's showing there really the 2 to 4 inch range. But again, this is all still subject to change. And much of this area already has seen tremendous rainfall this past week from Helene. So the ground is already saturated in much of Florida. So we're going to check back in here. I want to see if we have the latest on our HAFS B models, the 18Z runs that we were looking at earlier, if those have finished coming out. Let me get on the right storm here on Milton. So here we go. Yeah. Okay, so this is Wednesday morning. Well, that's like Wednesday at midnight. Wow, 915 millibars, 919 millibars. Here's Tampa Bay. Here's the west coast of Florida. This is Wednesday morning. And there's Wednesday at about noon. Wow, so it does slightly weaken as it approaches coast. Looks like 921. Let's see what happens here. Yeah, so it is bringing it definitely closer to Cedar Key, Florida. Yeah, there's Cedar Key. Basically has it making landfall here at Cedar Key. It's also slowing it down a little bit, bringing it more in Wednesday evening there at Cedar Key. And then crosses over the state. And you can see all this intense rain band and everything like that here in places like Jacksonville, Lake City, Florida, even Perry, Florida, which just got hit by Helene in those areas. And then Thursday morning coming off the coast still has a very strong, potentially Category 1, Category 2 hurricane at that point in time. So again, there's a lot of models. Let's take a look at some of these ensemble models because this really kind of gives us a good idea. Let's see if I can kind of step forward through this. And while I'm on here, the reason we're not seeing a push with this going north is really because we have a high ridge of high pressure that is been blocking. So here is Milton, basically. Oh, let me hit the right button. Yeah, so it does bring it further north. There's going to be a cold front that's gonna kind of shove it off to the east there. So very, very interesting. I want to look at the icon model real quick. So that's kind of different as well. The icon model brings it actually south of Tampa Bay. The vorticity there. So again, still a little bit of spread amongst these different models that we're seeing. Let's see what the HMON. 920s. Yeah, so it really brings it in really strong there too. There's this. Wow, the HMON actually has it. Really has it slower. It doesn't have it coming until Thursday. So the HMON, see again, this is going to be interesting to keep an eye on as well because the HMON model is not showing it making landfall till Thursday. They're kind of on really the Big Bend region. So still quite a bit of spread between some of these different models. HWRF, which is interesting. Obviously, that one we're not going to get much from. So But taking a look again here at our model tracks, again, these are the 18Z model tracks, and this is kind of what is interesting is, again, as it gets closer, there is still a very wide range. I mean, we're seeing all the way this model here, all the way bringing it up into, which is obviously the outlier, bringing it up into the panhandle of Florida. And then you still have some models that take it across the Yucatan and then kind of come up across through Naples and then over, similar to almost like a track like Wilma took, going across Florida. So still a lot of spread across these models. And I think really by Monday, we'll start seeing it. It's still, again, currently just a 40-mile-per-hour tropical storm. We should be getting a new update coming out here, though, pretty soon. Are they going to put well, they probably won't put an intermediate advisory out yet because they typically don't until it's within, I think, 48 hours. But they already have flash flooding potential on here right now. Folks, if you're just joining, welcome to the live stream. See some new folks hopping on here. Be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe button as we're just kind of pouring over this new model data that's been coming out, the 18Z models for what will be Hurricane Milton, I should say. Absolutely a lot to take in. And again, if you didn't see this, this is why what we're seeing is the model trends are bringing this up. We're seeing multiple models bringing this actually up to a Category 4 hurricane now. And look at even the number that are at least Category 3. I mean, probably at least almost half of these models bring it up to at least a Category 3 storm. Only one of them actually doesn't really do anything with it. That's this UKXI model. Not really doing much of anything with it. Very interesting to see. But again, that is the latest forecast track. Major hurricane approaching the west coast of Florida by Wednesday. So we'll continue bringing you guys these live stream updates throughout the evening and kind of keep you guys updated. So if you're not already, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We'll be doing daily updates going forward here of Milton as it approaches the Florida West Coast by midweek. But if you are anywhere in Florida, really from the Panhandle all the way down to the Keys, you need to be making those hurricane preparations starting this weekend and have everything wrapped up really by Monday evening, as Tuesday likely we'll start seeing impacts across the Florida Peninsula into really through Wednesday and even possibly into Thursday morning. So we'll keep you guys updated. Thanks for joining me for this live stream. I'll probably do another one once the 11 p.m. advisory comes out here. We'll see if we have anything new to talk about. So again, be sure to subscribe, hit that notification button so you can get notified when we go live. And also be sure to check out our Facebook page. We're posting updates on there as well. And we'll catch you guys on the next live stream. Thank you again so much for joining us here at Extreme Weather Videos. Stay safe, everyone.